Hey, Pastor Steve Waldron, I hope you're having a great day or night in Jesus. So can we convince critical text advocates to receive the majority text, King James Version manuscripts? Well, we'll tell you this. I've done a review on it many years ago, a tract that was done by David Otis Fuller about 5 Greek scholars had no use for the book, Which Bible, till they read it and checked it out. And people like David W. Daniels, Franklin Logsdon, many others used to be minority text advocates, see the overwhelming evidence. It's kind of like evolution. People believe in evolution, look at the overwhelming evidence, they become creationists. And so, yes, they can. So let's see what it says on TextusReceptusBibles.com. So none of this, we've done much evidence here, is enough to convince the skeptics among critical text advocates. Now, I would say sometimes, because what's that psychological phenomenon? I'm sure you've seen the studies. It's easier to seduce somebody, convince them of error, than it is to convince them they've been deceived. It's easier to deceive than to convince somebody they've been deceived. Because once the mind makes a decision, it gets locked in. And that's just sinful human nature. So most have been so indoctrinated with derisions of scholars like Desiderius Erasmus, they just read his original writings and are so enamored of their own methodologies, they cannot see the forest for the trees. Now, it is fascinating if you read books, Metzger and Allen, they give some amazing admissions in that. Wilbur Pickering records several of these in the transmission of the New Testament text. Many of these people only speak in terms of textual variance, and this is generally because the extent of variance between manuscripts and Alexandrian text type is vast. And the 4 Gospels alone, now this is an important point, Codex Sinaiticus and Codex Vaticanus, which are both probably forgeries, have over 3,000 variances. So that's the reason a lot of people say there's not even an Alexandrian text type. You have a Byzantine text type, and then you have just a variety of readings. On the other hand, the different versions of the Textus Receptus have relatively few variances between them, like almost none. And some of those aren't even translatable into English. There are only a few hundred variants between every one of them. And this is from Erasmus's 1516 to the current Trinitarian Bible Society and everything in between. Bezet's 10 editions and Stephanus's 4 or 5 editions and Colineus's and on and on. And Scrivener's. Some of the differences are so minute they make no difference, as we mentioned the English language. Such a low occurrence of variance should be seen objectively as a factor of reliability and quality. And so, what is there? There's 7,907 verses in the New Testament, I think it is. And so, you're looking at just almost nil of any changes of all of them. And this doesn't include the thousands of manuscripts before that. The complete Alexandrian manuscripts in existence today were created in the 4th century, and all those scholars and theologians like Erasmus and Bezet were aware of the Codex Vaticanus. It was rejected as unreliable until the late 19th century. I think Napoleon even took it to Paris when he sacked Rome, took the crown from the Pope's hand. The most likely reasons why these early manuscripts were rejected was through early church fathers like Origen, who testified that manuscripts in Alexandria, Egypt, were already corrupt by 200 AD. And that's a very important quote by him when he says, man, these things have been corrupted. And Origen was there as a first-hand witness, which we certainly don't like a lot of his writings. Another reason scholars of the Erasmus era were skeptical was because Coptic was a common tongue of Upper Egypt, and there is evidence to suggest the Greek text were influenced by their own Coptic-speaking churches. Koine Greek itself, and by the way, Coptic, whether it's Sahidic and Bohairic, they're some of the oldest manuscript witnesses in existence, as is Italia and all this. Koine Greek itself was first used in Alexandria from 3030 BC, and linguists have always believed it evolved under the weight of local influences. In any event, finding more of these rejected manuscripts in the 21st century doesn't change why those who came before us saw them as corrupt. It simply means we have more of these formerly rejected and corrupted copies. So true copies by the millions have been destroyed over the centuries through wars and persecutions and on and on. And so they find a few scraps that don't agree amongst themselves and now say God didn't preserve his word. Now, here's a final note that I think is apropos, fantastic. To believe in the Alexandrian text, you would have to believe that God withheld the Bible from the day-to-day services of the Christian church for at least 1,500 years. And this goes against the very Word of God itself. You would have to say that nobody had a correct Bible anywhere. They just had Bibles that contained the Word of God, but was full of errors. For this cause also thank we God without ceasing. 1 Thessalonians 2:13 says, because when you received the word of God, which you heard of us, you received it not as the word of men, but as it is in truth the word of God, which effectually worketh also in you that believe. So we're trying to encourage people that they can have faith in the word of God. Satan is the one that tries to destroy the word of God. We want you to be able to believe in it, pray it, read it, trust it, and know that it is without error. And so God bless you. We love you. We'll talk with you later. Bye-bye.